A reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 22. If someone steals a cow or a sheep and kills it or sells it, he must pay 5 cows for 1 cow and 4 sheep for 1 sheep. He must pay for what he stole. If he owns nothing, he shall be sold as a slave to pay for what he has stolen. If the stolen animal, whether a cow, a donkey, or a sheep, is found alive in his possession, he shall pay 2 for 1. If a thief is caught breaking into a house at night and is killed, the one who killed him is not guilty of murder, but if it happens during the day, he is guilty of murder. If someone lets his animals graze in a field or a vineyard, and they stray away and eat up the crops growing in someone else's field, he must make good the loss with the crops from his own fields or vineyards. If someone starts a fire in his own field and it spreads through the weeds to someone else's field and burns up grain that is growing or that has been cut and stacked, the one who started the fire is to pay for the damage. If anyone agrees to keep someone else's money or other valuables for him, and they are stolen from his house, the thief, if found, shall repay double. But if the thief is not found, the one who was keeping the valuables is to be brought to the place of worship, and there he must take an oath that he has not stolen the other's property. In every case of a dispute about property, whether it involves cattle, donkeys, sheep, clothing, or any other lost object, the 2 people claiming the property shall be taken to the place of worship. The one whom God declares to be guilty shall pay double to the other one. If anyone agrees to keep someone else's donkey, cow, sheep, or other animal for him, and the animal dies or is injured or is carried off in a raid, and if there was no witness, the man must go to the place of worship and take an oath that he has not stolen the other man's animal. If the animal was not stolen, the owner shall accept the loss, and the other man need not repay him. But if the animal was stolen, the man must repay the owner. If it was killed by wild animals, the man is to bring the remains as evidence. He need not pay for what has been killed by wild animals. If anyone borrows an animal from someone else and it is injured or dies when its owner is not present, he must pay for it. But if that happens when the owner is present, he need not repay. If it is a rented animal, the loss is covered by the rental price. If a man seduces a virgin who is not engaged, he must pay the bride price for her and marry her. But if her father refuses to let him marry her, he must pay the father a sum of money equal to the bride price for a virgin. Put to death any woman who practices magic. Put to death any man who has sexual relations with an animal. Condemn to death anyone who offers sacrifices to any god except to me, the Lord. Do not mistreat or oppress a foreigner. Remember that you were foreigners in Egypt. Do not mistreat any widow or orphan. If you do, I, the Lord, will answer them when they cry out to me for help, and I will become angry and kill you in war. Your wives will become widows, and your children will be fatherless. If you lend money to any of my people who are poor, Do not act like a moneylender and require him to pay interest. If you take someone's cloak as a pledge that he will pay you, you must give it back to him before the sun sets, because it is the only covering he has to keep him warm. What else can he sleep in? When he cries out to me for help, I will answer him because I am merciful. Do not speak evil of God, and do not curse a leader of your people. Give me the offerings from your grain, your wine, and your olive oil when they are due. Give me your firstborn sons. Give me the firstborn of your cattle and your sheep. Let the firstborn male stay with its mother for 7 days, and on the 8th day offer it to me. You are my people, so you must not eat the meat of any animal that has been killed by wild animals. Instead, give it to the dogs. The word of the Lord. A reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 23. Do not spread false rumors, and do not help a guilty person by giving false testimony. Do not follow the majority when they do wrong, or when they give testimony that perverts justice. Do not show partiality to a poor person at his trial. If you happen to see your enemy's cow or donkey running loose, take it back to him. If his donkey has fallen under its load, help him get the donkey to its feet again. Don't just walk off. Do not deny justice to a poor person when he appears in court. Do not make false accusations, and do not put an innocent person to death, for I will condemn anyone who does such an evil thing. Do not accept a bribe, for a bribe makes people blind to what is right and ruins the cause of those who are innocent. Do not mistreat a foreigner. You know how it feels to be a foreigner, because you were foreigners in Egypt. For 6 years, plant your land and gather in what it produces. But in the 7th year, let it rest, and do not harvest anything that grows on it. The poor may eat what grows there, and the wild animals can have what is left. Do the same with your vineyards and your olive trees. Work 6 days a week, but do no work on the 7th day, so that your slaves and the foreigners who work for you and even your animals can rest. Listen to everything that I, the Lord, have said to you. Do not pray to other gods. Do not even mention their names. Celebrate 3 festivals a year to honor me. In the month of Abib, the month in which you left Egypt, celebrate the festival of unleavened bread in the way that I commanded you. Do not eat any bread made with yeast during the 7 days of this festival. Never come to worship me without bringing an offering. Celebrate the harvest festival when you begin to harvest your crops. Celebrate the festival of shelters in the autumn when you gather the fruit from your vineyards and orchards. Every year at these 3 festivals, all your men must come to worship me, the Lord your God. Do not offer bread made with yeast when you sacrifice an animal to me. The fat of animals sacrificed to me during these festivals is not to be left until the following morning. Each year, bring to the house of the Lord your God the first grain that you harvest. Do not cook a young sheep or goat in its mother's milk. I will send an angel ahead of you to protect you as you travel and to bring you to the place which I have prepared. Pay attention to him and obey him. Do not rebel against him, for I have sent him, and he will not pardon such rebellion. But if you obey him and do everything I command, I will fight against all your enemies. My angel will go ahead of you and take you into the land of the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I will destroy them. Do not bow down to their gods or worship them, and do not adopt their religious practices. Destroy their gods and break down their sacred stone pillars. If you worship me, the Lord your God, I will bless you with food and water and take away all your sicknesses. In your land, no woman will have a miscarriage or be without children. I will give you long lives. I will make the people who oppose you afraid of me. I will bring confusion among the people against whom you fight, and I will make all your enemies turn and run from you. I will throw your enemies into panic. I will drive out the Hivites, the Canaanites, and the Hittites as you advance. I will not drive them out within a year's time. If I did, the land would become deserted and the wild animals would be too many for you. Instead, I will drive them out little by little until there are enough of you to take possession of the land. I will make the borders of your land extend from the Gulf of Aqaba to the Mediterranean Sea, and from the desert to the Euphrates River. I will give you power over the inhabitants of the land, and you will drive them out as you advance. Do not make any agreement with them or with their gods. Do not let those people live in your country. If you do, they will make you sin against me. If you worship their gods, it will be a fatal trap for you. The word of the Lord.